A father receives a text on his 69th birthday. Just 2 sentences. No happy birthday. No love you. Just a cold dismissal that would cost his son $30 million. Today, you're about to witness what happens when a lifetime of generosity meets unthinkable disrespect. When a blank check gets cancelled. When silence becomes the most powerful weapon a parent has ever wielded. This isn't just a story about money. It's about the moment a father realized his love had created a monster, and decided to do something about it. If you believe respect isn't optional, hit that like button. And drop a comment telling me where you're watching from, because this story needs to travel far and wide. Let's get into it. Picture this, a sprawling custom-built home in the Green Hills of Connecticut. Floor-to-ceiling windows. Manicured lawns that look like they belong in a magazine. The kind of house that whispers success in every detail. And inside? Complete silence. This story is titled, My Son's Birthday Text Cost Him $30 million, posted by you/Elias Thorne on r/True Off My Chest. According to OP, he's sitting in his leather armchair, the one his late wife Anna always said made him look too serious, watching the grandfather clock in the hallway. Each tick marking another second of his 69th birthday slipping away. Unnoticed. Uncelebrated. Alone. Now, this isn't some distant father who abandoned his family. This is a man who built an architectural hardware empire from nothing. A man who, after his wife died, poured every ounce of love and resource into his only son, Leo. He'd given him everything. Private schools. A penthouse in Tribeca. A Range Rover for Leo's wife, Chloe. A $500,000 down payment on their starter home. Monthly allowances that most people don't make in a year. But on this particular birthday? Nothing. Not a call. Not a card. Not even a text. OP picks up his phone a dozen times. His thumb hovers over the contact. They're probably just busy, he tells himself. Leo has that new project. Chloe's planning one of her charity galas. But deep down, he knows. This isn't about being busy. This is about being forgotten. The house is filled with ghosts of happier times. He can almost hear Leo's childhood laughter echoing from the staircase. He can see Anna arranging flowers on the mantelpiece, her smile lighting up the entire room. And now? Just him. Just the silence. Just the weight of realizing that maybe, just maybe, he'd given so much that there was nothing left to be grateful for. Finally, the ache becomes too much. He's not looking for gifts or parties. He just wants a connection. A simple acknowledgement that he still exists in their world. So he types out a message. Deletes it. Types it again. Keeps it simple, keeps it casual, keeps it desperate in the way only a lonely father can be. Just wanted to say I love you both. Hope you're having a good week. He hits send before he can second guess himself. And for a moment, just a beautiful, fleeting moment, he feels relief. Maybe they were just busy. Maybe I'm overthinking. Then his phone buzzes. But what he was about to read would change everything. Less than a minute later, the reply comes through. OP's heart lifts. They remembered. They're probably apologizing. Everything's fine. He reaches for his phone, that warm feeling spreading through his chest. And then he reads it. We need space from you. Please don't reach out anymore at all. 2 sentences. No explanation. No warmth. No humanity. Just a corporate, sterile, HR-approved termination of a relationship. On his birthday. In response to I love you. According to OP, he reads the words once. Then twice. The air leaves his lungs like he's been punched in the chest. This isn't a young man having a bad day. This isn't a minor disagreement blown out of proportion. This is an execution. His son just fired his father. But wait, it gets worse. Below the text bubble, there's a small detail that turns cruelty into something unforgivable. A little red heart icon. And next to it, Chloe liked this message. Meanwhile, across the city, Chloe sets her phone down on the marble countertop of their penthouse kitchen. She doesn't feel guilt. She feels vindication. Finally, Leo stood up to his overbearing father. Finally, they could live their lives without the constant weight of obligation. She picks up her phone again, scrolls through her Instagram, 2,847 likes on her latest post from their weekend in the Hamptons. Everything is perfect. Everything is exactly as it should be. Let that sink in. His daughter-in-law, the woman whose lavish wedding he paid for, whose Range Rover he bought, whose credit card statements he quietly covered, didn't just tolerate this message. She applauded it. That heart wasn't agreement. It was celebration. A digital high five for her husband's cruelty. In that moment, OP sees everything with blinding clarity. They're not just a couple. They're a team united in entitlement. A partnership built on his wallet, held together by his generosity, and maintained by his willingness to keep giving without question. The memories flood back. Not individual events anymore, but connected dots forming a perfect, ugly picture. The penthouse they called a starter home. The credit card charges from designer boutiques and five-star resorts, all paid from his accounts. The phone call 6 months ago when Leo asked for $200,000 for Chloe's online art gallery and presented it not as a request but as a notification of withdrawal. When OP had gently suggested Leo use his own capital, his son had laughed. "Dad, this is my capital. It's the family money." And he'd transferred it. Because he always transferred the money. Because he loved his son. Because he was a fool who believed one day Leo would wake up and understand. But that text message? That heart emoji? That was proof he'd been wrong all along. To them, he wasn't a father. He wasn't even a person. He was a resource. A fund. An endless supply of money that was getting inconveniently sentimental in its old age. OP stands up, walks to the window, looks out at the garden he and Anna planted together. And something shifts. The sadness drains away, replaced by something cold and clear and utterly calm. It's not anger. It's resolve. You can't reason with entitlement. You can't negotiate with disrespect. You can only cut off its supply. OP walks back to his phone. His hands are perfectly steady. He scrolls to Leo's contact. And he presses block this caller. Then he does the same for Chloe. The digital silence is now complete. And it's on his terms. Then, he makes a second call. One that will change everything. What came next wasn't just revenge. It was systematic dismantling. The next morning, OP drives to his lawyer's office. And this isn't just any lawyer, this is David Sterling, a man who's been his friend and counsel for 30 years. Sterling's office sits on the top floor of a glass tower overlooking the Long Island Sound. It's a world of quiet power. Expensive leather. Old paper. The kind of place where fortunes are protected and dynasties are managed. David is standing by the window when OP arrives. Silver hair. Tailored suit. A man as sharp as his legal arguments. He doesn't offer pity. He doesn't ask what's wrong. He simply waits. Because he's a good friend, and an even better lawyer. OP explains everything. The birthday. The silence. The text. The heart emoji that felt like a stiletto blade. And when he finishes, David leans back and says something that stops OP cold. "I've been waiting for this call for 5 years, Elias." He tells OP about Leo's 30th birthday party, the one at the yacht club. During his toast, Leo thanked his father for providing the seed capital for his life. Like he was a startup and OP was just an early-stage investor. David saw it then. Leo didn't see his father anymore. He saw a bank. And Chloe? She wasn't just a beneficiary of that bank. She was the CFO. This is the validation OP needs. It's not him being bitter. This is reality, visible to others for years, but invisible to him because he loved his son too much to see it. David slides a thick file across the desk. Gold lettering on the cover, the Thorne Family Revocable Trust. And here's where it gets interesting. According to David, everything of significance is in that trust. The deed to their penthouse. The lease agreements for their vehicles. Their credit lines. The $30,000 monthly allowance. But here's the key, it's a revocable trust. OP, as the grantor and sole trustee, has absolute, unilateral control. He can change any provision. Remove any beneficiary. Terminate any payment. At any time. For any reason. Think of it as a steel safe. OP filled it with his assets. But he's always held the only key. He just forgot he had it. For years, he saw that trust as a lifeline for his son. Now he sees it for what it truly is, a tool. A mechanism of control he'd forgotten he possessed. He'd been funding an insurgency against his own dignity with his own money. OP leans forward. His voice is quiet but firm. Let's start the process. I want them removed. Completely. Terminate the lease on the penthouse. Cancel every credit line. Stop the monthly disbursements. Everything. We're turning off the supply. And miles away, Leo and Chloe had absolutely no idea that their world was about to collapse. While OP is in David's office setting the board, the first pieces are already being knocked over miles away in Manhattan. Picture Leo and Chloe at Per Se, one of the most expensive restaurants in New York. The kind of place where a single meal could feed a family for a month. Chloe's taking artfully composed photos of her truffle-dusted risotto. Leo swirling a $1,000 bottle of wine, pontificating to the sommelier about subtle notes of oak and blackberry. They're performing the role of wealthy, influential people. A role they've mastered without ever reading the source material of hard work or consequence. The meal concludes. The waiter places the leather-bound bill folder on their table. 4 figures. But Leo doesn't even look. Why would he? The money isn't real to him. He hands over his American Express black card, the one made of titanium, the one he calls his heavy metal, and leans back, ready to discuss whether they should fly to Aspen or St. Bart's for the weekend. A few minutes pass. Then the waiter returns, his expression a perfect mask of apology. "I'm very sorry, Mr. Thorne. But the card has been declined." Declined? That's impossible. Leo's brain doesn't even have a category for this word in this context. This card doesn't decline. It can't decline. There must be a mistake. Some technical glitch. The restaurant's ancient payment system probably can't handle premium cards. He forces a laugh, trying to mask the flutter of irritation in his chest. Leo laughs. Declined? That's impossible. Run it again. Your machine must be acting up. The waiter obliges. Same result. Leo's laugh fades. Chloe looks annoyed. He pulls out a second card, a platinum visa. Here. This one has no limit. But it does have a limit. A new one. Set to 0. The waiter's third trip to the table is more somber. Chloe stops scrolling through her phone. Leo, what is going on? Panic starts creeping in. Chloe's fingers tighten around her phone. She can feel eyes from nearby tables. Are people watching? She opens her banking app under the table, refreshing it frantically. The balance looks wrong. Very wrong. Her heart rate spikes. This can't be happening. Not here. Not in front of these people. She offers her own card, a sapphire reserve, with a look that dares the universe to decline it. It declines it. The table is now an island of escalating panic. Their voices are urgent whispers. What is happening? Did you miss a payment? Of course I didn't. My father's office handles all of it. It's automated through the trust. It's impossible. That word again. Impossible. The word of a man who's never faced a closed door. Leo pulls out his phone, desperate to restore order to his crumbling reality. I'm calling Dad. There's been some massive screw-up at the bank. He taps the screen. Raises the phone to his ear. No ring. Just flat, immediate silence. Straight to voicemail. He tries again. Same result. A cold dread creeps into his expression. He switches to text messages. Dad, what's going on with the cards? None of them are working. Call me. He hits send. But instead of the blue bubble with delivered underneath, a green bubble pops up. And in red letters, message failed to send. He stares at it. Tries again. And again. The red letters mocking him each time. And then the realization hits. He blocked me. My own father blocked my number. Chloe's face turns pale beneath her expensive makeup. Why would he do that? What did you do? I didn't do anything. We just told him we needed some space. The absurdity of the situation crashes down on them. Stranded in one of the most expensive restaurants in New York. Unable to pay. How are we going to pay for this? The mortgage payment is due on the 1st, Leo. And the lease on my Range Rover. What are we going to do? A desperate hope flickers in Leo's eyes. The allowance. The $30,000. It was due yesterday. It has to be in the checking account. Then check it. Check it now. With trembling hands, Leo opens his banking app. His face is illuminated by the pale blue light. He stares at the balance. His expression turns from panic to utter despair. It's not there. The transfer never came. If you're hooked so far, do me a favor and hit that like button. This story is about to get even more intense, and I want to make sure as many people as possible see what happens next. Trust me, you're not ready for where this goes. Over the next few days, their world systematically falls apart. And the most poetic part? OP doesn't lift a finger. He simply lets the consequences ripple outward. While Leo and Chloe are screaming into the void, OP's life becomes more peaceful than it's been in years. He tends to his garden. Spends afternoons in his woodshop, the scent of fresh-cut cedar filling the air. Reads the books he's been meaning to get to. He doesn't check his phone obsessively. Doesn't wait for an apology. He made his move on the chessboard. Now he just lets the pieces fall. And fall they do. First, the cleaning service. Chloe, dressed in her $200 yoga pants, waits for the weekly crew to arrive. But they don't. Instead, she gets a text, "Your service agreement has been suspended due to non-payment." She stares at the text in disbelief. Suspended? She's been using this service for 3 years. They know who she is. She tries to call, but when they explain the trust account is frozen, her voice gets shrill. She hears herself and hates it. She hangs up and looks around the penthouse. Dust is already visible on the dark surfaces. She's never cleaned anything in this apartment. She doesn't even know where the cleaning supplies are. Then Leo's gym membership. He shows up for his session with his $300 an hour trainer, only to have his key fob denied at the entrance. "I'm sorry, Mr. Thorne. Your membership has been frozen." For a man whose identity is built on effortless access, a closed door isn't just an inconvenience. It's an insult to his very being. Then the smaller comforts vanish. The curated boxes of organic, pre-portioned meals stop appearing at their doorstep. They're forced to navigate a grocery store, a place they view with anthropological curiosity. The wine club subscription. The streaming services. The dog walker. One by one, the invisible pillars holding up their effortless life crumble. The world they knew is being unplugged, circuit by circuit. And then comes the next phase, liquidation. Pride is a luxury item. And theirs is the first thing they have to sell. I can imagine the tense, bitter conversations in their apartment. Chloe pulling out the designer handbags OP bought her. Each one a symbol of a life evaporating before her eyes. Leo holds the Swiss watch his father gave him for his 30th birthday. The weight of it suddenly feels different. For the first time, he wonders what it actually cost. Not the price tag, the sacrifice. The hours of work, the years of building a business. His hands shake slightly as he places it in the consignment box. He tells himself it's temporary. Just until they figure this out. But deep down, a terrifying voice whispers, what if there's nothing to figure out? They visit high-end consignment boutiques on Madison Avenue, pretending they're curating their collection, all while desperately hoping the check will be large enough to cover next week's expenses. The very gifts OP gave them out of love are now being converted into survival cash. The irony is as sharp as it is painful. Their arrogance, once a fortress, is now just rubble. In its place, raw fear begins to grow. The safety net they took for granted is gone. They're in free fall. And the ground is rushing up to meet them. Their attempts to reach OP become more frantic. Unfamiliar numbers flash on his phone. He lets them go to voicemail. Later, he listens. It's always Leo. His voice tight with forced calm. "Dad, it's me. I'm calling from a friend's phone. Pick up. This isn't funny anymore. We need to talk." The word need is still there. He still believes he's in a position to make demands. More calls come. More texts from numbers OP doesn't recognize. Each one more urgent than the last. But OP's silence is the only answer they get. A constant, unwavering, deeply unsatisfying no. They asked for space. He's simply giving it to them, in a way they never expected. But the real breaking point was still ahead. A month passes. For OP, it's a month of quiet routine and newfound peace. For Leo and Chloe, it's a month of slow-motion drowning. David keeps OP informed. The money from selling their trinkets won't last. It's like using a teacup to bail out a sinking yacht. After 30 days of silence, the real storm hits. It arrives as a single piece of paper taped to their penthouse door. Notice to vacate for non-payment of rent. I can imagine Leo finding it. The confusion. The immediate assumption it's a mistake. Then the dawning horror as he reads the details. Tenant name, the Thorne Family Trust. Amount overdue, $60,000. Chloe's reaction? Disbelief, then pure rage. Rent? What do you mean, rent? We own this place. Your father bought it for us. And that's the moment of soul-crushing revelation. I thought he did. He always just handled it. They were living in a gilded cage and never once thought to ask who held the key. As if the universe decided to choreograph their downfall, the second blow lands that same afternoon. Chloe storms out to run errands. But when she gets to where she parked her Range Rover, it's not there. In its place? A tow truck. Yellow lights flashing. Her car already hooked, front wheels lifted off the pavement. She can't breathe. Literally can't catch her breath. That's her car. Her car. The one she's posted hundreds of photos with. The one that announces to everyone who sees it that she's made it. She runs toward the driver, her expensive heels clicking frantically on the pavement. Wait. Wait. There's been a mistake. But the man just shows her a clipboard. Official paperwork. Repossession order. Her name is right there. She feels the doorman's eyes on her back, feels the weight of judgment from every window above. This isn't just losing a car. This is social execution. A man in a jumpsuit meets her protests with a shrug. He has the paperwork. The vehicle is being repossessed. Lessee, the Thorne Family Trust. Account status, delinquent. This isn't a private failure. This is a public spectacle. The doorman watches. Neighbors peer from windows. It's the ultimate social humiliation. A real-time downgrade played out on the streets of Manhattan. The truck groans, pulls away from the curb, and takes the last vestige of her curated life with it. That's the breaking point. Their options have dwindled to nothing. No allies. No hidden funds. Just one car left, Leo's sedan. And one last, desperate, foolish idea. The source of their problem is also, in their minds, the only solution. Leo grabs the keys. Looks at Chloe. Get in the car. We're going to Connecticut. He can't ignore us if we're standing on his front lawn. The drive takes about an hour. An hour filled with rage, fear, and desperate hope that a face-to-face confrontation could change things. They still believe their presence, their emotions, hold power over him. They're about to learn otherwise. OP is in the Rose Garden when they arrive. His security system gives him a quiet notification, vehicle approaching. He doesn't need to check the cameras. He knows who it is. The garden is his sanctuary. The place he and Anna designed together. Each rose bush has a name, a history. That day, he puts on his noise-canceling headphones. Selects a playlist of Bach's cello suites. The rich, orderly music fills his head. The world outside that music, outside the 10-foot stone wall surrounding his property, simply ceases to exist. He knows they're at the front gate. He can imagine it. Leo's hand jabbing at the intercom button. Chloe pacing on the gravel, her expensive shoes ill-suited for battle. They're met with absolute, impenetrable silence. The intercom doesn't buzz. The gates don't open. Eventually, they abandon the gate and walk the perimeter of the wall, looking for a weakness. Like castaways searching for a breach in unbreachable cliffs. They reach a section where the ornamental iron fence gives them a view of the backyard. And that's when they see him. There he is. His father. Not 50 feet away. Tending his roses like it's just another Sunday afternoon. Like their entire world isn't burning down. Leo's throat tightens. He wants to scream, to rage, to make him look. But watching his father move with such calm precision, pruning, inspecting, completely at peace, something cracks inside him. For the first time, Leo sees what he's looking at, a man who's already let go. OP can feel their eyes on him. A prickling on the back of his neck. But he does not turn. Does not acknowledge them. He focuses on his task. Selects a hybrid tea rose, a deep crimson one. Inspects its leaves. Chooses his pruning shears. Makes a clean, precise cut. This is the true confrontation. Not a shouting match, but a demonstration. His peace against their chaos. His silence against their noise. His closed garden against their collapsing world. They begin to shout. Through the layers of Bach, their cries are reduced to faint, irrelevant buzzing. Distant insects. But he can see them. Leo's face red and contorted with rage. Chloe's frantic gestures, hands pleading one moment, balled into fists the next. They're performing desperation. But the audience can't hear them. They're screaming into a soundproof room. Their words, which once could cut him to the core, can no longer even reach his ears. They go on for 10 minutes. Their energy gives way to exhaustion. And that's when the security car arrives. OP's system automatically alerts local patrol if the intercom is pressed more than 5 times in a minute. A sleek black sedan pulls up behind their car. An officer, Marcus, who's patrolled this neighborhood for years, gets out. Professional calm. He doesn't rush. Doesn't escalate. Just walks over, a polite but immovable presence. OP can't hear the exchange, but he can read the body language. Leo's aggressive posture. Chloe's tearful appeal. Marcus's patient, unshakable stance. He informs them they're on private property and have been asked to leave. They're no longer the son and daughter-in-law of the owner. They're trespassers. The defeat is absolute. No more cards to play. They slump back to their car and drive away. Marcus's car waits until they're out of sight before pulling away. The silence returns. Deeper. More complete. Only then does OP turn. Takes off his headphones. The sound of the real world rushes in, gentle breeze, chirping finch in the oak tree. He walks over to the rose bush. Snips the perfect bloom he just pruned. Holds it. Its fragrance rich and complex. He weathered their final assault without raising his voice. Without taking a single step outside his garden. He won, not by fighting back, but by refusing to be part of their storm. But this story wasn't over. In fact, the most devastating move was still to come. The drive back to the city must have been long and silent. Their final gambit failed in the most humiliating way possible. They brought all their fury and desperation to his door and were turned away, not by an angry confrontation, but by a wall of serene indifference. Dismissed. What follows is the inevitable, final stage of collapse, complete unraveling. That evening, the calls start. From numbers OP doesn't recognize. One after another. A frantic digital assault. But OP has set his phone to automatically silence and log any calls not from his contact list. He doesn't lift a finger. The technology does the work. It isn't until the next morning, as he drinks his coffee and watches the sunrise, that he decides to review the events of the night. Not out of concern. Out of documentation. He opens his voicemail. Listens. The first message came shortly after they got back to the city. Leo's voice is raw, ragged with fury. You think this is a game? You think you can just hide behind your walls and your security guards? You can't do this to us. This is our life you're destroying. My wife is a wreck, we're losing everything. Do you even care? The entitlement is still there. The belief that OP owes him this life. An hour later, another message from a different number. The tone has shifted. Anger replaced by fake concern. Dad, it's me. Leo. We're just worried about you. Not answering your phone, hiding away, it's not like you. Are you okay? Are you lonely? Please, just let us know you're safe. OP shakes his head. They're not worried about his health. They're worried about their bank account. The messages continue throughout the night. A descending spiral into desperation. The final one, left around 3 a.m., is almost unrecognizable. The voice is hoarse. Broken. Dad, please. I'm sorry. Okay? I'm truly sorry. For the text. For everything. We were stupid. We made a terrible mistake. We'll do anything to make it right. I'll get a job, a real one, I swear. We'll pay you back. Just please don't do this. Don't throw us away. We're your family. Please, Dad. Just call me back. OP exits the voicemail. Opens his blocked call registry. The system keeps a log of all incoming activity. He scrolls through entries from the previous night. Page after page of blocked calls. At the top, the software has tallied the total. 109. 109 desperate, futile attempts to breach the walls of his resolve. OP sets the phone down. The experiment is complete. The data collected. It's time for the final phase. He picks up the phone again. Makes a single call. David. It's time. Send them the email. A few hours later, a message appears in their inbox. An electronic dove in the midst of their flood of despair. From Sterling and Associates. Subject, meeting regarding the Thorne Family Trust. The message is brief, professional, devoid of emotion. Dear Mr. Thorne and Ms. Thorne, on behalf of my client, Elias Thorne, I am writing to invite you to a meeting to discuss the future of the Thorne Family Trust. The meeting will be held at our offices this Friday at 10 a.m. sharp. Please confirm your attendance at your earliest convenience. They read the email 3 times. 4 times. Chloe's hands are shaking. This is it, she whispers. He's going to reinstate us. Leo wants to believe it, but something in his gut twists. Why wouldn't his father just call? Why the lawyer? But desperation drowns out doubt. They have to believe this is a negotiation. Because if it's not, they have nothing left. They interpret it as a white flag of surrender. They believe their campaign of desperation, their 109 calls, their pathetic apologies, finally worked. They think they're coming to negotiate the terms of their reinstatement. They have no idea they're coming to sign their own death warrant. The morning of the meeting, OP arrives an hour early. He and David sit in the private study. The final, notarized documents rest between them. No hesitation. No flicker of doubt. The preceding month only solidified his resolve. David reviews the sequence one last time. Are you ready, Elias? OP looks out the window at the city below. I've been ready for a long time. Let's go to the conference room. The room is designed to intimidate. Long, narrow, dominated by a single, colossal slab of mahogany polished to a mirror shine. One wall is entirely glass, a dizzying view of the city. It's a room where multi-million-dollar deals and bitter divorces are finalized with the stroke of a pen. The perfect venue. OP takes his seat at the head of the table. David to his right. The heavy, leather-bound document directly in front of him. They wait. Leo and Chloe arrive precisely at 10. Their punctuality is a sign of desperation. They're let in. For a moment, OP sees them not as his son and wife, but as two strangers walking into a trap. They look diminished. Stress has stripped away their glossy veneer. Leo's expensive suit hangs off his frame. Chloe's makeup can't hide the anxiety tightening her mouth. They're trying to project contrition. But they just look like frightened children called to the principal's office. They sit opposite him. The vast expanse of wood between them feels like a chasm. David breaks the silence. Thank you for coming. We have provided water. Elias has asked for this meeting to discuss the future of the family trust. That's Leo's cue. He clears his throat. Sits up straighter. Begins the performance he's clearly rehearsed. Dad. First of all, Chloe and I just want to say how deeply sorry we are. The last month has been a nightmare. But it's given us time to think. And we realize things got out of hand. There was a complete misunderstanding, a breakdown in communication. He pauses. Looks for a reaction. OP gives him none. Just sits there. Hands resting on the table. Expression unreadable. His silence unnerves Leo. He rushes to fill it. We've been under a tremendous amount of stress lately. And we acted poorly. That text message was inexcusable. It was sent in a moment of frustration. We never, ever meant for it to hurt you. We love you, Dad. You're our father, and that's the most important thing. Chloe reaches across the table as if to touch his hand. Eyes welling with crocodile tears. We love you so much, Elias. OP continues to listen. Steady gaze. Leo's speech is a masterpiece of evasion. Filled with we and us. External pressures. Mutual misunderstandings. No ownership. No real accountability. He's not apologizing for what he did. He's apologizing for how OP reacted. He's apologizing because he's desperate. Because his world was taken away. And he wants it back. He speaks for another 5 minutes. A maze of flimsy excuses and hollow promises about how things will be different. When he finally stops, the silence is even heavier. He looks at OP, eyes pleading. Searching for forgiveness. A crack in his resolve. Waiting for a conversation. A negotiation. Expecting OP to list his grievances, demand new terms, engage in the familiar emotional dance. OP lets the silence stretch. Letting their discomfort build to an unbearable level. Then, with slow, deliberate motion, he places both hands on the leather-bound document. The sound of his palms on the smooth cover is the only noise. He does not raise his voice. Does not argue. There's nothing left to debate. He pushes the document forward. It slides across the mirror-like surface. Comes to a stop directly in front of Leo. Leo stares at it like it's a venomous snake. Then OP speaks. For the first time in the meeting. His voice is calm. Level. Completely devoid of emotion. Thank you for sharing that, Leo. I have listened. Now, I would like you to look at this. He taps a finger on the embossed gold lettering. This is the amended and restated Thorne Family Revocable Trust. I believe it will answer all of your questions about the future. With trembling hands, Leo reaches for it. Chloe leans in. Heads nearly touching. They open the leather cover. Eyes scan the dense pages. Flitting past complex legal jargon. They're not reading for comprehension. They're searching for numbers. For familiar clauses. The bedrock of their adult lives. Fingers fumble as they turn pages. A frantic search for a reality that no longer exists. OP guides them. You can turn to page 12. Section 3. It's the section on primary beneficiaries. I believe you'll find it has been simplified. Leo's finger traces the lines. Breathing shallow. OP gives him a moment. Then continues. Laying out the facts with dispassionate precision. As you can see, Clause 3.1, which previously named you, Leo, and you, Chloe, as the sole and primary beneficiaries of this trust, has been legally and irrevocably removed. Chloe lets out a small, choked sound. Leo stares at the page. Furthermore, Clause 3.2, the provision which stipulated the terms of the $30,000 monthly allowance and the payment of all associated credit lines and leases, has been deleted in its entirety. There are no longer any financial provisions for either of you in this document. The silence is absolute. Only the faint hum of city traffic far below. Finally, Chloe looks up. Face a mask of disbelief. The question is the last gasp of her lifelong entitlement. So, where does the money go? OP allows himself a slow, deliberate motion. Turns a page in his own copy. The crisp sound echoes. An excellent and practical question, Chloe. If you will both turn to page 15, you'll find the new clause 4.1. It outlines the trust's revised primary directive and sole beneficiary. They fumble to the page. See the new title. The new name. But they don't understand. So he tells them. The entirety of the trust's assets, an estimated $32 million, will now be transferred to establish a new perpetual endowment. It will be called the Thorne Next Generation Scholarship. Before they can process, David speaks. Adding cold, legal finality. The scholarship is a full-ride endowment in perpetuity. It will cover all tuition, room, and board for students from low-income backgrounds who have demonstrated exceptional merit and wish to pursue degrees in business administration and industrial design at Connecticut State University. David's words hang in the air. Each one a hammer blow. OP lets the silence stretch. Then delivers the final, fatal twist. He looks directly at Leo. That's the school you dropped out of, Leo. After I paid for 2 full years. I thought it was about time someone actually graduated from there with a Thorne family investment. And that's it. The collapse is total. Chloe makes a sound like a wounded animal. Leo's face drains of all color. It's not just that the money is gone. It's that his greatest personal failure, the opportunity he squandered out of laziness and arrogance, has been taken from him and immortalized as a monument to someone else's success. The foundation of his new life is built on the rubble of his old one. Perfect. Inescapable. Legally binding poetic justice. They haven't just lost their future. They've lost their past. 6 months later. OP stands at a podium in a university auditorium. The air smells of old books, fresh paint, and limitless potential. He's surrounded by students and their families. Faces bright with pride that money could never buy. This is the inaugural awards ceremony for the Thorne Next Generation Scholarship. OP gives his keynote address. He speaks about starting a business in a dusty garage with nothing but tools and an idea. The dignity of work. The value of a second chance. A legacy is not what you leave for people. It's what you leave inside of them. As he looks out at the young, ambitious students who now have the opportunity his own son threw away, he knows he's finally made a sound investment. At that same moment, across the state, his son is learning the language of consequence. The sprawling penthouse is gone, replaced by a small apartment above a laundromat. The expensive suits are gone, replaced by a logistics coordinator's vest. Leo's on a loading dock, clipboard in hand. Looking tired but focused. Shoulders squared with responsibility he'd never known. And Chloe, her social media empire a distant memory, now manages a boutique store in a suburban mall, patiently folding sweaters. Expression strained but resilient. Their life is no longer beautiful or easy. It's difficult. It's a struggle. And for the very first time, it's theirs. Later that evening, OP is back home. Sitting in the garden as the sun sets. His phone buzzes on the small table beside him. A text message from a number he doesn't recognize. Dad? One word. A question mark. No desperation. No demand. Just a question. An opening. A first step across a canyon of silence. A small smile touches OP's lips. Not triumph. Not forgiveness. Just quiet satisfaction. The power to answer, the power to decide the future, is entirely his. He places the phone, screen down, on the table. He doesn't need to answer right away. For the first time in a very long time, the silence feels like a beginning. Here's what this story taught me. True love must be balanced with firm boundaries. Elias's generosity created entitlement that destroyed respect. The most profound act of fatherhood wasn't writing another check, it was finally saying no. So here's my question for you. Do you believe setting hard boundaries is sometimes the greatest act of love? Was the father justified, or did he go too far? And if you were in Leo's shoes, would you reach out, or would pride keep you silent? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if this story hit you as hard as it hit me, smash that subscribe button, Because next time, we're covering a bridezilla who sabotaged her own wedding in the most unbelievable way possible. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.